Christianity was never meant to be done on your own. God made this so that we walk this out together. So today on Daily Renewal, I ask you the question, who are you walking with? Hello everybody, this is Pastor Lyle and welcome to Daily Renewal. Well, we're continuing our series on excellence in life and ministry. And I've been taking some topics that I've felt over the years have been really key topics in my life, and hoping that they'll help so that you can apply them in yours. And the question today is, who are you walking with? Now, it's interesting because in the church world today, or when I say the church world, I have to be very careful because there's a wide range. There's lots of people that when I say the church world, they may say, well, I'm a Christian, but I don't actually go to a church. And this is actually more common than some people might think. And there's a lot of reasons why people don't go to church. Sometimes maybe people have had a bad experience in church and maybe have been hurt in church. And believe it or not, I can understand that. I know what that's like. I could probably go toe-to-toe, story for story, with a lot of people. But myself, I've chose not just to go to church because I'm a pastor, but I go to church because I really believe that in the Scripture that this is something that we should do. However, what the church looks like, then that could be the issue why people don't go. There's a lot of people today that think that the church has become a business or that it's become more of a social club. And, you know, in a lot of ways, I think that there's probably a good argument for that. But I think that there's a lot of churches that are still trying to do it the way that the New Testament shows that it should be done. And so that's another reason why people are separated. Now, the third reason why I think that a lot of people get separated from the church is because we have to understand that we have an enemy who, like a roaring lion, roams about, seeking whom he may devour. And, you know, often I feel that, you know, the enemy that we have and his cohorts do their best, just like a lot of animals when they circle their prey, when they try to separate other animals so that they can attack as a group. And I think that the enemy, what he tries to do a lot of times with us, is get us separated from other believers. Because if he can get us separated, then we're easier to pick off. We're easier to be a victim to the things that he's trying to do to destroy our lives. Now, I purposely today titled the message, Who Are You Walking With? And not, What Church Do You Go To? Because, you know, just because you go to a church, you know, I know lots of people that have gone to churches and they've found it a place where they really haven't gained any solid relationships, the type of relationships that really do assist the Lord in bringing transformation in your life. You know, one of the things I realized when I first started going to church is I was very hungry for God. I wanted to know God more, and sometimes I would go to some church events, and a lot of the people that went there, you know, when I was in my 20s, they had gone to church all their life, and they didn't know anything but church. And sometimes there wasn't a real hunger for God. And I found that a lot of those relationships, they weren't really helping me in developing in the faith. And you know, so when we ask ourselves, when we start to look at the idea of who we're walking with, the way that I want you to think about this is not what church do I attend, but what people are in my life that are constantly assisting me in my walk with God and also enabling me to pour into their lives. In Proverbs 11:25, it says this. It says, the generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered himself. And I'll tell you that even as a pastor for many years, I have adjusted my thinking a lot on how I minister to people. What I've noticed, and if I look at statistics, for example, a lot of statistics say that pastors are some of the loneliest people. And I know why they say that. And it's because of a lot of the things that are built into some of the church structures today that cause pastors to separate themselves. And I guess I don't want to get too much into that, but I want to say this, that even as a pastor, I have to choose not only in the people that I hang out with. I choose who I minister to, who I pour my life out to. But this scripture plays a major role in my life because I want to pour out into people, but I also, just like everybody else, I need people that are going to pour into my life. So it's important to understand that this idea of walking with somebody is the idea of giving in your relationship and taking in your relationship. In any relationship, it is a give and take. It's not just something where I go and I receive all the time. And that's why I really think another key reason that a lot of people are struggling with church sometimes today is because churches have forgotten this. And often we make the Sunday, in fact, when somebody says, are you going to church? And I say that too. It's almost like, are you going to the event on Sunday? Well, the Bible talks clearly about the fact that we are the church. And so we need to start looking at this as rather than am I going to the event on Sunday, for me, I'm beginning to pastor this way, where I make a decision. You know what? And I've said to my congregation, the first prerequisite for my life is I'm going to be a Christian. Now, that might sound silly to some, but really, doesn't matter what my ministry is. My first ministry is to the Lord, as I talked about in some of the previous episodes. And so walking out my Christian faith, just being a Christian, is number one. And from there, what I've come to understand is anybody in my life surrounding me that wants to walk with me, that ends up being the church that I'm involved with, or my church. Now, I want to share with you one of my favorite portions of Scripture, and I'll tell you, it'll be very easy to see how it fits with today's episode, and it's found in the book of Acts, Acts chapter 2, and at this time, they just had a bunch of people become Christians. The original disciples, Peter got up and preached, a bunch of people got saved, and it says this starting in Acts 2, verse 42. It says, and they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship and breaking of bread and prayers. Then fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done through the apostles. Now all who believed were together and had all things common, and sold their possessions and goods, and divided them among all, as anyone had need. So continuing daily with one accord in the temple and breaking bread from house to house, they ate their food with gladness and simplicity of heart. Now, what I want to point out here is this here is the picture of the first church, how the church began. And the whole idea behind the church was people that are walking with God. The disciples, they hung out with Jesus, and they knew what he was like. And now they were in a point in their relationship where they were seeing other people come to know Jesus. And the way that they assisted others in knowing Jesus was they walked with them. They gave their lives to them. And we see things like, it says that they sold their possessions to help one another. And it says that they met daily. You know, when I look at this is so encouraging to me, because I see that this is what I think that a lot of people really crave, is they do crave real relationships with real people. And I submit this to you. If you're somebody who is really hungry in your walk with God, the one thing that is going to be the most exciting to you is being with other people that are excited about their relationship with Jesus as well. And often the thing that is the biggest deterrent to you is people that are just kind of going through the motions, and church has become some religious event that they go to. No, the way this is supposed to be is it's a group. This is people who are drawing close to God, and they're drawing close to one another, and they're helping one another along, pouring into one another's lives, and in turn, others are pouring into their lives. And this is what true Christianity should look like. So I ask you again, not what church you go to, but who are you walking with? And if there's if there isn't people in your life that you're actually walking with, that you're fellowshipping with, and that are challenging you spiritually, and things where you can talk about the things of God, then you're missing out. And you need to pray and ask the Lord to bring people like that into your life. Not just finding a church building that you can go give your tithe to, and there's so much more to it. And this is what I believe God is beginning to do in the church world today. Not every church is getting it, but I believe that there's churches that are coming to understand this. In other words, there's people, some of the people of God that are beginning to understand the importance of this. And there's many. You might even listen to this right now. And maybe you used to attend a local church, but you don't anymore. Well, this is the kind of church that I am believing that God is going to help even people like you to come back into. Because ultimately, there is strength in numbers. And we can see that, a great example of that in the book of Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 4, starting in verse 9, I'll remind you, says this: 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him up. Again, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one be warm alone? Though one may be overpowered by another, 2 can withstand him. And a threefold cord is not quickly broken. So, having said that, again, I challenge you. Find some people. If you're by yourself in this Christian walk, find some people that you can, you got to find somebody that you can pour into and that will pour back into your life. This is vital. If you need help with that, make some comments below. I can help you with that. I've got people from other cities that have been talking to me that don't have an opportunity to fellowship at a local church at this point. And you know what? I'm here to help. There's others that will gladly help you and get some proper fellowship. And when I say fellowship, the type of fellowship that will help you grow as a believer. And you will be excited when you begin to grow again in your faith. Even for some of you that maybe have been stagnant in your faith for a while. Reach out to some people. Find some people that want to have good fellowship with you. So anyways, I hope you got something out of that today. This is a topic I think I might want to spend some more episodes on. But I wanted to touch on that because it's a major topic and that's made a difference in my life. So I hope you got something out of this today. If you did, feel free. Share these videos with as many people as you can. Always encourage people to subscribe to our channel and hit like below. Also, you can like us on Facebook. We're also on Twitter and Instagram. If you're in the Kamloops area, especially if you don't have a local church, drop by River City Church. We'd love to have you. Having said that, God bless you and have a great day.